How we do here. Members of the City Council, City Manager Moon, City staff, and my fellow Woodstockers. Thank you for your service, your dedication, your hearts for your city, and thank you for being here today. I'm honored beyond words that you've chosen me to serve and to stand here before you as the 31st Mayor of the City of Woodstock, Georgia. In 1826, the renowned Scottish novelist Sir Walter Scott wrote his 15th novel. He called it Woodstock. At the same time, in the early 19th century, pioneers and their families were settling the land we stand on here today, starting new lives, building a new place in a still very new world. Scott's book had become a popular sensation. People really loved it. It made its way across the Atlantic, and the story found its way to the settlers here in these North Georgia woods. They loved it so much they named their community for it. They called this place Woodstock. 71 years later, the Georgia legislature incorporated that small forest town, and our city of Woodstock was born. Now, in my hand, I hold here a copy of Sir Walter Scott's Woodstock that was both printed and published in 1897, the same year our city was incorporated. Now, this is not a particularly valuable print. It could only be interesting to about 35,000 of us who live here. And let's face it, there's only one of us eccentric enough to have tracked this thing down. But I love this specific copy of this book. I think it's important to note that in my hand, in this print, in this place, we hold more than just a dusted 125-year-old book, and we have more than a 125-year-old aged town. We have a story. You see, the story of Scott's Woodstock is set during the English Civil War. Cromwell has taken the country, and he's hunting the executed King Charles's son, and division is in the air. At a time when party and division and hate and suspicion hung over their nation, a place called Woodstock took center stage. The place wasn't spared the effects of that divide. The book brings battle and intrigue, betrayal and haunting, but guys, the book peaks with grace. Without spoiling a classic for you, because I'm sure you've all read this. The story culminates in the safe escape of those fleeing, the show of mercy from those you wouldn't expect, and of course the ultimate coming together of those who were always meant to be. It's a tale of destiny. And now we look around in our city. Like our namesake novel, we feel the familiar call of a story meant to be. See, we stand today in a nation divided. Anybody surprised by that statement? We all feel it, right? You can call it party, call it current events, call it cause, effect, symptom. At the end of the day, division is the theme of our day. Our national condition is a place where neighbors are increasingly suspicious of neighbors, where we see others as other, our trust for our institutions, for our communities, and for each other is at an all-time low. And then there's Woodstock. See, I've heard it called Mayberry, I've heard it called something special, there's something in the air, or a city unexpected. At the end of the day, guys, we're a community. We don't believe in strangers. We're a people who enjoy a sense of place. A sense of belonging in a place where that sense of belonging is fleeting in the modern day. I think we have something truly special here. Anybody else agree with that? Now, in this special place, these past 2 decades have seen our city transformed from a sleepy leftover 19th century railroad stop into a thriving tourism destination, ranking among the largest cities in the state of Georgia. We have a vibrant art scene. You were sitting in a theater that we should be proud of. We have best-in-class attractions. We have a growing commercial and business community. We remain the largest city and the economic center of Cherokee County, the 7th largest county in the state of Georgia. Here in Woodstock, we're on the forefront of something truly great. In just the past year, Homes.com rated this place the 3rd best suburb to move into in the United States. Money Magazine named us one of the 50 best places in America to live, and Safewise.com says this is one of the 50 safest cities in the state of Georgia. At a time when storefronts in other states remain shuttered, and cities and businesses throughout the country search for answers and recovery, the unemployment rate in our city rests at an historic low of 2.8%. Now, if we're going to clap for nothing else, our city's revenues outpace projections and expenses. Our reserves are growing. We've maintained a tremendously low responsible debt ratio, and we maintain some of the lowest property taxes in Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you this morning as your new mayor to present to you on the state of our city. I'm proud to tell you the state of our city is both strong and growing stronger. Now, we have without a doubt built a place that people want to be. Our calling is to build not just a place that people want to be, but a place that will last. That will be the mission of my administration and the goal of our work together. We're going to build a place in Woodstock that breaks the American pattern. This is going to be a place that our kids will be proud to inherit. The first 21 years of this century have seen tremendous growth, opportunity, and prosperity for our city. In nearly every way, the quality of life for a citizen of Woodstock has improved. Our home values have climbed, our businesses have grown, and our city is an example for all of America and is used as an example for all of America for downtown revitalization. Thanks to our fiscally responsible council members, our city's lowered our millage rate each year for 6 years in a row to ensure you didn't see a backdoor tax increase just because your home values rose. And I'll tell you as a taxpayer, to the council member sitting here today, I want to say thank you. Thanks to a fiscally sound foundation and the vision set by the leaders and our residents years ago, we have a thriving downtown that is the envy of our sister cities throughout the region. And of course, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to the man who stood at the helm for the last 16 years. Mayor Donnie Enriquez is here with us today. He served our city for 4 terms, the longest of any leader in the nearly 125-year history of our city. When I say longest leader in our city's history, we're not a city like in North Fulton that's existed for 3 years, okay? There's a long history, and he served us well. From my family to yours, thank you, sir. Now, I will tell you, though, I think Donnie would agree with me. I know he would because I've heard him say it before. The success we see in this city so often gets attributed to elected officials and big personalities. We far too often fail to recognize the dedicated civil and public servants who dedicate themselves every single day to making the city of Woodstock what it is. If you don't know, we have more than 200 full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees in our city. Under leadership of and I said it before, and I'm going to say it with all the credibility I can muster, we have the best city manager in the United States of America, Jeff Moon. I agree. Our team dedicates their every day to building a city that serves all of us as residents. Now, as you can guess, it has not been an easy road working in local government over the last 2 years. Okay? This pandemic has certainly made the job interesting for these guys. If you are a member of city staff in the room in any capacity, do me a favor and stand up for a second. We owe you, I know you're all loving it too. We owe these guys a huge debt of gratitude. I'll tell you, I am 21 days into this job, which means I've gotten to spend a whole mess of a lot of time in orientations. And guys, we have outkicked our coverage. We have an unbelievably talented staff in this city. I think we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. While we're talking about our city team, though, I do want to take a moment to recognize one of our assistant city managers, Cody Thigpen, who just stood for us. When Cody started with the city, she set out on a mission to modernize and to prioritize our human resources backbone in this city. She set out with initiatives like merit-based pay, improved onboarding and retention programs, enhanced leadership training, and career development for our employees. Now, all of these things sound like good things. All of us in here who are business leaders nod and smile, and at the time, it sounded like the right thing to do for the people who worked for us. I will tell you, if you're a business owner in this room, you know, like I do, that just a short time later, as 2021 and the Great Resignation took the global workforce by storm, these investments have paid huge dividends, okay? We have seen less than half of the BLS's average turnover in the city of Woodstock, because this is a place you want to work. Now, despite unprecedented challenges in retention and recruitment for both the private and the public sectors, we've seen those gains, and those gains were made while dramatically improving not just the quality of work, but the quality of life for the people who dedicate themselves to each of us every day. Guys, it takes real leadership to evaluate a team, to find what motivates the individuals on that team, and then to invest in them individually. But it takes a real leader to get ahead of global trends before they hit. Now, this year, we saw the 2020 census. I know it's going to come as a surprise to all of you. Woodstock grew dramatically again. This is important history for everybody. In 1990, our population was less than 4,500. In 2000, our city's population doubled to 10,500, and in 2010, we more than doubled again to 23,896. And as of last year, we had 35,065 people who call this place home. Guys, in 30 years, we went from 4,500 Woodstockers to 35,065 of us. There is no way around it. We have built a place that people want to be. Now, with growth, with people, come major challenges. We're all feeling them. From transportation and development to strain on our services and preservation of identity, I want to discuss today how our city is approaching those issues and turning those challenges into opportunities for us. But I really want to take a second here to remind you and to remind myself. Almost every other community in America would do anything to have the problems we have. We all understand that? The problems that come with growth are better than those with decline. The challenges that come with a lively, bustling downtown are better than those in a town where young people can't wait to graduate and leave. The challenges that come with life are better than those with a city gasping its final breath. We are in a fantastic position, not just as Woodstockers, but as Woodstock. But our greatest priority in a growing city, in a rapidly growing city, must be preserving a safe city. Our city's public safety members, our police, our fire, they are genuinely some of the finest in the world. Okay? One might assume that with nearly 50% growth in our city over the last 10 years, we would see at least a moderate uptick in crime. Anybody hear anything about crime in the Atlanta area lately? Thanks to the incredible men and women of the Woodstock Police Department, just the opposite has occurred. Reported crime in 2021 was down 44% compared to 10 years ago. And we marked our lowest crime level in more than a decade here. We saw 50% growth in population, and we saw a near 50% decline in the crimes committed in our city. I'll tell you what, a former Georgia House colleague of mine, also from the metro Atlanta area, tried to explain away their city's increase in criminal activity over the past years. He said, quote, "It's happening everywhere in the Atlanta region." Well, because of Woodstock PD and because of their focus on community policing, on partnerships with nonprofits and the faith community, and on making sure that they are working hard to protect each and every one of us, that rise in crime hasn't reached Woodstock, and it won't. We're going to continue to make sure and focus on ensuring it doesn't. And we're going to do that by focusing additional police resources on our downtown and the densest areas of our city. We're going to do it by being sure that the constant presence that creates helps maintain the trust, the credibility, and the fast response that we've come to count on from Woodstock's finest. Now, as many of you know, Chief Moss, who is here with us today, is retiring. Chief, I'm going to need you to stand up because we really do owe you a huge debt of gratitude. This man... We should each be extremely proud of every one of those men and women who put on that uniform for us. But Chief, we are extremely grateful for your service to us, and thank you for it. Our fire department has certainly seen the effects of this growth too. Fire department has seen alarm calls to the department grown by nearly 62% since 2012, and Woodstock's bravest responded to a record 6,642 calls this past year. Apparently we didn't chase fire out like we did police, but we're ready for it. In order to ensure our firefighters and their teams are prepared to combat both the current and the coming challenges that our city will present them, we've created a new role for a full-time training officer in the department. Guys, ensuring that our fire department is trained, practiced, and always at the ready is critical, not just toward protecting their lives, but toward protecting all of our lives and our property as well. Our city is taking unprecedented steps toward ensuring we're always going to meet and exceed that goal. Chief Dave Sumas and his team do an incredible job for our city. We all owe them a huge debt of gratitude as well. Now, I'm a firm believer, I love this pie graph. I'm a firm believer if you want to understand someone's priorities, you look at their checkbook. For our current budget year, the city of Woodstock's invested nearly 50% of the total budget in public safety. Keeping our citizens safe is not just our paramount duty and priority, but we've put our money where our mouth is. And as long as I'm mayor, we're going to continue to support these incredible public servants the same way they support us. I will tell you, though, on the campaign trail, the words I heard most often weren't safety, it was traffic and parking. Nobody here's surprised by that. It was a short campaign trail, but I heard those words a lot anyway. As we've all seen, creating a destination, a place that people want to be, comes with people. Now, our city, and specifically our public works department, are actively at work, both to alleviate congestion, provide more and smarter parking options, and create a more connected, grid-based, walkable city. Hope you guys were able to spend some time out in the lobby looking at some of those transportation projects that we're working on. If you haven't, I'd ask you to make sure you spend some time out there. Rob and his team have gotten some really incredible printouts for us to see the major key transportation projects coming our way. And speaking of Rob, I'm extremely proud of our Assistant City Manager, Rob Hogan. This is one of those projects, if it's not obvious, I'm a little off speech here. This is one of those projects, guys, that we should all be unbelievably excited about, and it makes for terrible campaign fodder because it's not a sexy sounding project, but listen to this because this is incredible. We have created now, under Rob's leadership, the city's first ever annual comprehensive transportation plan. And this comprehensive plan is going to be updated on an annual basis. It outlines all of our major transportation initiatives, our current conditions, and goals for the future. It provides policymakers and those executing on the plan the tools they need to see where our cities come from and where it's going. It sets us apart from sister cities stringing their initiatives together, and it becomes a tremendous differentiator for us, both to the state and federal governments, as well as private entities looking to invest in our transportation network. This differentiates us. Sister cities like us don't have plans like this. Okay, we are getting ahead of the curve. We're taking a big picture approach, and we're making sure that we're planning generationally today. Rob, I'm excited to see this plan completed and submitted to the council and to the one council member here today, and the rest will hear me Monday. Adopt this thing. Now, among the many projects you're going to see out in that hall and in that plan, you're going to find one called the Hub Transformation Project. Now, the city-led state and local partnership was the first of its kind, and it broke ground just a few short months ago. You've probably noticed the dirt moving at the split of Mill and Town Lake Parkway, probably as you came in here. It's making room for a roundabout that will serve as the crux of the project. This project directly impacts the traffic flow of 7 streets in the heart of our downtown. It encourages traffic away from main arteries, which we should all want, and dramatically improves pedestrian walkability. This is all accomplished with minimal impact to the actual footprint of the roadway. We're not adding asphalt, we're just using it smarter. But it brings about huge gains for our citizens and those passing through the city. This project's expected to be completed by the end of the first quarter of next year, and guys, I'm telling you, this is transformational, out-of-the-box thinking when it comes to transportation. I want to make sure to stress, though, when we think about and consider transportation and traffic in our city, we all experience it. It is important to keep in mind that we have built a city and we've built a destination. We should not be building a downtown corridor with the primary focus of moving commuters who do not live in our city through our city to destinations that are not in our city. Okay? This pass-through traffic belongs on state arteries like Highway 92 and Highway 575 outside of the downtown core. Does that make sense to everyone? Good. I like nods at that. Transportation encompasses more than just roadways and cars, though, right? Woodstock has intentionally focused itself on becoming a more walkable, bikeable, and yes, even golf cartable city to make sure you can enjoy this place in lots of ways. The council and I are focused on continuing to build out our grid street, continuing to expand that network, and provide more and better ways for citizens to walk between their destinations. And here's why. This focus on walkable, intentional downtown has worked. Last year, we saw over 3 million visitors to our downtown shopping district. Okay? That ranks our city yet again as the #1 destination in our county. Our restaurants, bars, stores, and small businesses chalked up a record year, and our outstanding economic development team, under the leadership of Brian Stockton, hiding somewhere here, they have worked hard and they have effected a transformation of this city into a genuine tourism destination. Anybody who was here with me 10 years ago have seen that coming? 15, 20? I'll tell you, the team here did. Last year's State of the City profiled Made Mercantile. This is a project of Brian's team and the Downtown Development Authority that's located right in the heart of our Main Street. The makerspace has grown to 13 member companies during the last year, and it yielded $200,000 in retail sales for these brand new startups. Guys, this space serves as a low overhead route to market for creatives working to start a business and encourages them to build here in Woodstock, all while enhancing our downtown retail environment too. I can tell you personally, having launched my business out of the circuit back in 2017, keeping overhead costs low in these early stages, it's critical to getting a venture off the ground. But building a healthy environment in which these businesses can thrive through those dangerous early stages is and should be a priority for our city, and it makes profitability for them and pays big dividends for the community in a big way. We're investing not just in investments like that, though. We are targeting things like cutting-edge technology to help streamline the zoning and permitting information for business owners considering Woodstock. We're making sure that red tape is never the hurdle that keeps someone from starting or bringing their business here to Woodstock. And guys, initiatives like those, and along with the North Atlanta Venture Mentoring Service run by Misty Martins, Cherokee Office of Economic Development. I know she's here in the room today too. Misty, where are you? Yeah, you're shyly waving. Thank you for everything you do for us. Our city waives business license fees for your first year in business, the year that you're most likely not to make it. We're not going to add city fees to make that harder to pull off. We do these things because we show Woodstock is serious about supporting our entrepreneurs, but more importantly about giving them every chance at success in this city. As many of you guys know, I live on Hubbard Road, right downtown. I own a business that employs nearly 30 Georgians here 2,600 feet away, also downtown. My drive feels awfully stupid, so I walk most days. And my walk to work means one fewer car on the road. Guys, if we want to discover generational success and generational problem solved when it comes to transportation and commutes in the city, we have to chase more commutes like that. That means attracting employers to our downtown. But attracting employers downtown means we must find additional office inventory here. As we continue to see our downtown grow, it must be a priority for our city and for developers who are exploring investment opportunities in Woodstock to provide more office space. This brings me to a project I know you're all curious about. As you've probably seen, Morgan's Ace Hardware's moved their new location. And in a short time, you're going to see that site at Main Street and Arnold Mill is going to be prepared for something new. Now, you're all wondering what's going to be housed in the center of our city. Me too. We are actively working with our planning partners right now. Remember, I'm 21 days on the job. But we are actively working with planning and development partners right now to make sure that we are prioritizing getting that development right, and that we're providing a transparent process for the neighbors nearby, the stakeholders, and every city resident. Because, guys, the priority on that site, and in all sites here, but specifically the core of our downtown, is to make sure we get the development in the core of our downtown right. We have a generational opportunity here, and we're going to seize it and do it the right way. It's my hope. I can tell you certainly the core of that project will center around a parking deck. And it is also my hope that office space, a hotel, a small conference center will all be major components of the project, along with additional retail and restaurant space as well. It's going to be an exciting project. Guys, we've built an incredible place to live, work, and play in Woodstock. Unfortunately, most of us have to pick two. You can either afford to live and play in Woodstock, or you can afford to work here. In order to ensure high-paying jobs that can sustain the families that already call this place home, we need more office space to recruit those employers. Now, when I say employers, it's important to note, I don't mean Microsoft. Okay? It's not my goal to attract an Amazon or a Tesla campus to our 13-square-mile city. Okay? I want to see more employers who have 25 to 50 employees, who are paying six figures, who fall into the woodwork of our city and invest heavily in it like it's home. I know they exist. We've built one. Okay? I intend to work with our economic development department. We're going to start targeting companies that are incorporated here in the state of Georgia, whose registered agent lives in the city of Woodstock, and whose business address sits in a surrounding county. See, these owners may have opened their business in Cobb or Fulton 10 years ago because it's where you wanted to be. I don't know if you've been listening, but you want to be here now. It's time for those business owners to come home. If you're in this room and you own a business and it's not in Woodstock, I want to buy you coffee. If we don't have the space you need yet, we will. I'm speaking with developers weekly, and I want to know specifically what you need, because I want to know that we are matchmaking and building the right inventory for the business owners who would otherwise be here. We're not going to wait for this to happen. Guys, we're recruiting. Seriously, coffee is a free offer. For the families that work here, in the service industry or even on our own city team, the price of housing in our city can be completely inaccessible. This is where conservatives like me, we may have oversimplified a word, okay? For a very long time, we've treated density like it's a bad word. Density is the wrong metric to chase. The metric we should be worried about is the ratio between home ownership and home rentership in our city. Now follow me here. If we want a financially stable city, filled with residents who care about the long-term success of our city, then we want a city of homeowners. We built the American middle class on home ownership. If you look around today, you're going to see a generation of millennials who are 10 to 15 years into their careers, and they are wondering why they are objectively poorer than their parents, while objectively making more money than their parents did. Now, their parents, many of you in the room, look at them and argue they should have saved better. Gen X, I hate to break this to you. You weren't better savers. What you did do is you bought a house much sooner. Millennials waited, and now the industry is flooding an already inventory-starved market with rental options. And it is forcing millennials into a situation where, unlike Gen X, each of you who built your wealth like all of the generations before you, not in savings, but in equity, they don't have an option into the market. Millennials have poured that same money you poured into a mortgage payment, not into a mortgage payment, but a rental payment, and they have little nest egg to show for it. If you're doubting any of this, look at California, look at England. Both have dramatic majority rental populations and have some of the largest disparities in wealth you will find anywhere in the world. We built the American middle class on home equity. If we want a healthy middle class, not just in this country, but in our city, if we want a financially stable city, we're going to build a financially stable people. We're going to do it by ensuring this is a city that's filled with home owners. Now, entry-level housing, though, in a destination city probably doesn't start with a white picket fence. It may start as a townhouse or even a condo, but it doesn't come with a rental agreement. By creating more owners, we create a sense of place, a sense of belonging, and an automatic wealth-generating community. That condo turns into a nest egg. That nest egg becomes a down payment on a single-family home. That family gets to stay in Woodstock. They pass their love for our city and the wealth they generated along the way down to the next generation. Guys, at a time when sister cities nearby are announcing their populations are majority renter, I'm calling on our city council to make this our number one priority. We're going to build a healthy long-term future by being more concerned about who owns a residence than how many walls they share. Now, speaking of development, we have an entire department called Community Development who manage the applications, the inspections, the processes that go along with all of it here in Woodstock. Now, as you can imagine, that workload has grown exponentially over the years. And we owe those guys a huge debt of gratitude for helping ensure the new builds here in Woodstock, that they fit our community, they're safe, they meet the quality standards we were promised. Our inspectors average 67 inspections daily. I'm going to say that out loud again. Daily. 67 inspections daily. Now you're wondering how many inspectors. That'd be 3 of them. City Council, these guys need help. Come next budget year, I hope we're going to focus on delivering it for them. And if I'm being honest, I hope we do it a lot sooner than that. I will tell you, though, our city rarely solves problems by just delivering more headcount. See, our city is a really neat example of working smarter. Our award-winning GIS department has introduced cutting-edge 3D modeling for new project concepts, allowing stakeholders and policymakers to see a new development from literally every angle. They've also implemented a new city data hub that's available online, providing unprecedented access to data and maps to all of you, the public. Between the implementation of a new city drone program to aid in mapping, building progress and inspections and data collection, to the city's partnership with Georgia Tech to develop a formal documented smart cities plan, guys, Woodstock is intent and is actually showing that we're building a city on the cutting edge and we are setting our policy by data. Now, we're not just building a great place to live. We're not just building a great place to work. We got to build a great place to play. We've got an award-winning Parks and Recreation department, and they have been hard at work. Now, as Woodstockers and as the entire world broke out of our 2020 quarantine and remembered what the outdoors was like in 2021, our parks and events were ready for them. We saw more than 100,000 bike trips on Old Rope Mill bike trails. And our city played host to the SORBA, the Southern Off-Road Biking Association Conference in October, right here on this stage and in this room. Our Woodstock Summer Concert Series broke attendance records multiple times, peaking with the Ultimate Queen Celebration, starring Mark Motel. Anybody here at that concert? Well, you were there. It was awesome, wasn't it? You were there with 11,500 other people crammed into that Northside Amphitheater. That'd be another one of those metrics that if you'd told me when they were building it, I would have thought you were crazy. If you have not come out to one of our city's concerts, I promise you, well, the one promise I'll make you is it will be more than you expected. And you guys are going to have some awesome opportunities to do that this coming year. I get the good fortune. I get to announce the concert lineup for you guys today. So, yeah. So on March 14th, series is going to begin with the Purple Experience, a 5-piece group hailing from Prince's birthplace in Minneapolis. They've been touring all around the country since 2011, and that frontman, Marshall Sharloff, we're going to go with that, brings the greatest and most authentic production of Prince and the Revolution to audiences of all generations. Next up, we got Sister Hazel coming on June 11th. Now, their song All For You topped the adult alt charts during the summer of '97, but that success propelled their album to platinum status, and since then, they've become firmly established not just in rock and alt music, but now in country, with 4 back-to-back Billboard top country albums. Moving on to July, I can't tell you. So we have an artist who we can't announce quite yet, and as I told you, Katie is president of board for Woodstock Arts, and they have taught me how to not spoil artists before I'm allowed to. So I'm going to stay disciplined here and not do it, but after that, we'll be coming back in August. We have the Black Jacket Symphony returning to Woodstock on August 13th. They'll recreate the Eagles Hotel California live in its entirety. This says note for note, sound for sound. I have all kinds of questions. No sonic detail will be overlooked. Guys, it was an awesome show. It's going to be an awesome one again. And then this season's going to close on September the 10th with American Idol winner Scotty McCreery. This North Carolina native earned 3 back-to-back #1 hits from his album Season Change, and of course, won American Idol as well, and he'll be coming to Woodstock here in September. We've got a heck of a lineup coming up here. Show me my summary slide. So, I will be at each of those because I have to welcome you, and I will look forward to seeing each of you guys there. And as always, make sure you get your chairs out early. Guys, this December 8th, our city's going to reach its 125th birthday. Much has changed in 125 years, but our story hasn't. In the midst of a rapidly changing world and a rapidly changing city, our community remains. Guys, the people you walk by on Main Street, or Chambers, or Elm, or Fowler, they're yours. They're your neighbors. This place is yours. It's ours. We have built this into something special. Our calling, and it's a challenge worth meeting, is to build it into something that's going to last. We have an amazing city staff working day in and day out to help accomplish that goal, but y'all, communities aren't built by the government. Today, I'm here to call on you. Today, in this room, you and I decide to lean in together. Together, we're going to build a community that's connected through walkable grid streets and trail systems. Together, we're going to build a forward-looking city by ensuring that our homeownership rates remain high and our plans for the future are data-driven. Together, we're going to build a safe city that values the public safety personnel and the public servants who work on our behalf each and every day. Together, you and I are going to build a city that's going to be worth passing on to our children. It is an absolute honor to get to stand before you and to get to help lead this city into this next chapter. I'm so genuinely grateful for the opportunity, but I need your help. Let's make this next chapter count, and let's make sure our kids want to be here. Thank you, guys. Thank you.